Hello YouTubes, it be Beta, and today we have a draft analysis for IBL Season 7. I am your coach Beta of the Jump Left Express, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop right into this. Wilmar has land play set up. Check out Wilmar, link in the description. First Pokemon is GMAC Corviknight, big boy. He has the ability Pressure, which allows him to pretty much double the amount of PP that your opponent loses. Also has one of my favorite abilities, Mirror Armor, which reflects all drops from you to your opponent. Has a high defense stat, which is going to make it really bulky as a Dynamax. One of my favorite sets to run on this thing is a weakness policy set as a GMAC, because it will most likely be able to live a hit and then get a weakness policy up and then start killing things. Another thing I like about this Pokemon is that it has the ability to boost its defense and via max moves, and it is the only Pokemon in the format, this format at least, that can do it, because the only other steel type that is allowed to Dynamax is GMAC Caparaja, and that thing's steel move doesn't actually boost its defense. So the next Pokemon we have is one of the two fastest Pokemon on my team, which is Inteleon. I love Inteleon, it's such a fun Pokemon. It was the first thing I had in Sword and Shield, so I figured it would be kind of fun to pick up from my first ever draft league. I'm actually a VGC player, for those of you who don't know, so I'm really sad I can't Dynamax this thing, but it's alright. And as you can see, the best ability is Sniper, because if an ability is on a Pokemon that is not released, you can still use it. For example, you can use Competitive Bolton, Sniper Inteleon, Libero on Cinderace is banned, but Sandrush on Dracovish is not. So with that being said, this Pokemon is pretty cool, has 125 base special attack stat, hits crazy hard with the right moves, and that's pretty much what this Pokemon does. So next Pokemon on our team is the other fastest, which is Dugtrio, big little boy, I don't know. Dougie boy. Alright, anyways, he has some pretty cool stuff he can do. Overall, he just, like, trap stuff, Dugtrio things. I like it on this team because, as you can see, the first two Pokemon are weak to Electric, which means Dugtrio doesn't act as a switch-in, but more as like an offensive check to them, and that's why I just like this Pokemon overall. Next up, I have Insinuating Roar. Sorry, that's what I call it, or Mr. VGC. And this thing is a very good bulky pivot. It gets U-turn, it gets Parting Shot, it gets Close Combat now, so if I want to run a more offensive set with the base 115 attack. It gets Snarl, which is actually a really underrated move because it can help it beat special attackers. And it just gets a lot of good moves, which makes it such a good defensive Pokemon. But like I said, even with that 115 attack stat, it can be really good offensively too. Next up, we have Goodra, a Pokemon with an incredibly high Speed F stat and a Grass immunity, which is one of the few Pokemon in the game at the moment that can do that. Its HP and defense are relatively lackluster, and the speed doesn't matter, but other than that, it has just really high stats, lol. But yeah, I like this Pokemon a lot, and moving on, we have Stunfisk. This Pokemon is very flat, and it's just going to be a bulky pivot, even though it is very flat, so moving on. Next up, we have Doublade, a Pokemon with a base 150 defense stat, and what this will allow us to do is it will allow us to go ahead and pretty much eat hits from any Pokemon we desire, let's not say eat hits from any physical Pokemon. Let's say we want to like switch in and set up on like a Pokemon that's easy to set up on, and then we can just set up on it with this. Doesn't have the highest HP stat, which is fine, but it has a base 150 defense, which is incredible. It actually matches the Goodra Speed F, so if you put those two together, you get like a really bulky Pokemon, which we do have, and you probably already guessed what it is. But well, let's keep moving on. No Guard is a cool ability, doesn't really have anything to benefit from it, but whatever. Next Pokemon is the god itself, Phalanx. Phalanx has a base 999 stat total across the board. Ability Huge Power makes it able to pretty much outgo anything in the game. Pretty strong Pokemon. I'd say its best move is probably Dragon Ascend or Precipice Blades. Those are both really strong. Of course, No Retreat is able to give it +1 in, it's able to give it +5 in every single stat, and make the Pokemon so when it switches out, it can maintain those boosts. If you are familiar with Pokemon, however, you know that I'm actually kidding, and this is the actual Pokemon that we're going to be looking at. So, Phalanx is a pretty cool Pokemon. I call it Me and the Boys. It's my favorite Generation 8 Pokemon, Rip Jumpluff. But it has attack and defense at 100. It has the ability to Defiant, which is a pretty rare ability now. Only a few Pokemon have it. I think I was the only person who drafted a Defiant Pokemon. I like this Pokemon a lot. I'm sure it's not the fastest thing or not the bulkiest, but it can definitely do a lot of work if it needs to. And my goal this season is to get one Phalanx sweep so we can say Me and the Boys tore up the IBL. That's all we want to do. Next up, we have Leafeon to finish off our Fire, Water, Grass core. The reason I picked this Pokemon is because it has a crazy high defense stat that no one sees, honestly. And I don't have a Sun Setter, I know. And my Corviknight can't set up the Sun, I know. But I just needed a Grass type to finish off the core, and I needed a tier 5, so like, you can't blame me for that. But this Pokemon's pretty cool. It's pretty fast too. I didn't actually notice that until I was looking at it now. HP isn't the best. Defense is pretty high. Attack. It gets some cool moves like Synthesis, Leaf Blade. It gets Sword Stance and Dig, but Dig is probably more of a tech move if I need to. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next Pokemon. Next up, we have the durable Udon, which is Duraludon. I said Light Metal is its best ability, so that way it doesn't take as much damage from moves like Low Kick. Heavy Metal can also be good, so it doesn't take as much damage from moves like Grass Knot. But I feel like Light Metal is its best ability. Of course, since I'm a VGC player, I know its best ability is Stalwart, which is its hidden ability, which ignores redirection. However, since this is singles, it does not matter. Pokemon has a pretty cool stat spread. He has 120 base attack, special attack, 95 attack, which we can utilize if need be, 115 defense. The only weakness this Pokemon has is its HP and Spadef. Spadef, more importantly. But this Pokemon does, I like its matchup with Goodra and the rest of the team. The only problem would be that we have a pretty glaring ground weakness, but that's why we drafted GMAC Corv, so we don't really have to worry about that. And the last Pokemon is Lord Shuck. And Lord Shuck has a crazy defense stat and Spadef stat at 230 and 230. Of course, speed is 5, which means that it is the 5th highest speed stat in the entire game, which makes this Pokemon so fast. And it has the 10th highest attack and special attack. And the defense is at 230 and the defense and Spadef at 230, I'm sorry, mean that it is incredibly bulky. And it's just going to be my web setter for the team. This team is very offensive, and webs would be very important to have. So Gluttony is also a good ability because we can eat berries at 50% rather than 25, so we can go ahead and get a little bit more longevity. The only problem with the Shuckles that I got nerfed, Custap Berry, if I recall correctly, is not available in Generation 8 yet. So that's gonna be the team. Make sure you all like and subscribe. I don't know when my first Week 1 game is gonna go up. I'm just gonna say I've already played it. I'm not going to say against who or what it is, but with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for coming out, and I will see you guys later.